Hello, Nigerians. How are you all doing? Ekujo meta báwo ni? Anyway, guys, I believe we still remember the case of Baba Jesha and Princess Komeje. I believe the case is still very much fresh in our mind. We still remember how it was handled, and I believe so. I believe majority of us are not happy with the way they handled the case. But nevertheless, fine if the judge pronounced Babajisha to be guilty. There is something we all talked about when the investigation was going on, when when the whole Nigerians came out together to contribute towards the case. We all still remember how the case was handled. I believe it is still very much fresh in our mind. So please share this show. I really want every one of us to come together, and we need to look into this case. Like I said earlier on, we need to look into it because, in my own opinion, I think we still have we have an we still have an untouched story in this case, and I feel there are some chapter that are untouched, which is unjust to the judiciary system in Nigeria. It's unjust if such thing is allowed to slip off their hand without being touched. Yeah, without being touched. Without being touched. So please share this show and share the show, please. Anyway, guys, if Baba Jesha is guilty, as we all said a year ago or 2 years ago, as we all said that, if Baba Jesha is guilty, let's all assume that Baba Jesha truly slept with this child. Let us assume that the so-called child was raped by Baba Jesha. And the judge pronounced Baba Jesha to be guilty, and he has been sentenced since then. But what about those who re-traumatized this child? What about those who use a minor, as they claimed, as a bait? What about the civilians that handled, that carry out investigation, unjust investigation? How about them? Is this how they're gonna let them be? Ṣé bọ́n ṣe máa fi wọ́n sílẹ̀ nìyẹn? Tí a bá ní pé Baba Jesha jẹ̀bi, even though the first trial for like couple of sitting on this particular case, the judge said he is not guilty of some allegation like forced penetration. They were not able to state the fact. They were not able to back it up. There is no evidence to back it up. But the video that was released, even though the story behind it is not truly clear, it's not really clear, but they said Baba Jesha is guilty, fine and good, accepted. If the judge said he's guilty, fine and good. But why should they let Princess Comedia and others, why should they leave them? How about the other men that this child mentioned their name? How about Princess Comedia brothers that this child claimed that they've raped her a couple of times? How about them? Is it that we are so blind to the point that we just want Baba Ijesha to go and we want him to pay for others' crime? Is it because he's a public figure among these old people? Is that the reason why we all crucified him? Accepted he is guilty and Baba Ijesha is presently serving. Am I connected? Yeah. And Baba Ijesha is currently serving. But how about the other people, other names that was mentioned by this child? Because with what this particular child, with what she said to Baba, to the investigator, she said Baba Ijesha touched her, but not to have sex with her. Baba Ijesha to only touch her, but Baba Ijesha has never penetrated her. But she claimed the Princess Commedia brothers penetrated her. They had sex with her. She mentioned so many names. So where are those people? Is it that those people who are above the law? Is it that those particular people are above the law? Or because because they are princess brothers, that's the reason why they have to let them go? Guys, we need to look into this thing very well. You see, when an activist is talking, we need to always listen so that you will always understand us. Activism carries so much weight, and sometimes you will be attacked by those you are fighting for. I know how we've been attacked. I know how I've been attacked so many times. But it's fine because we understand that activism in Nigeria, we understand how it works. We understand the risks and the sacrifice involved. I understand that vividly. But I personally, I have never for once pronounced Baba Ijesha to be innocent. All I've been saying is that we should follow the normal process. We should follow the law. That has always been my ways. It has always been my point from the beginning. Because what we all have, both president, slave, everyone in the country, in the whole world, what we have, even if you're poor, you're rich, rich and poor, there's something that we all have in common that always protects us. That is our right as a human. So when an activist is trying to educate you with activism, with your right as a human, you don't need to attack the activist. Instead, calm down, listen. Try and get a point. Because if you all keep attacking activists in Nigeria, there is no way Nigeria will be great. There is no way we can get better. No way, it is impossible. But all you have to do is to listen, and try to get something. And stop being biased. Stop being carried away with your emotions and your religion, your whatever. Stop being carried away with that. Be just with whatever you're saying, so that you will be able to understand what every activist, what they are passing out. At least let me speak for myself. All I stand for is equal rights for every human, irrespective of your color, your gender, and your status in the society. Your right as a human should not be taken away from you. Even those in prison deserve to be treated with respect, because that is all they have. But we don't understand this thing. If we are not able to stand or to promote human rights more in Nigeria, there is no way that country will get better. 100%, I am promising you this. If we are unable to understand human rights and always differentiate between the reality and your emotion, because your emotion can create some sort of illusions in your mind and you will be carried away, and for that reason you will not be able to gather the facts. You will not be able to prove anything. You will just do things according to your pain or whatever you're feeling. So if you are one of those who always attack activists, I remember how, see, it's normal, and that's the reason why you see a lot of activists after sometimes they will just be like, wow, because it's not easy being bullied, being caused, being attacked by people you are fighting for. Is not easy at all. But for those of us that we already understand that this is it, you're gonna attack me, but that will not make me shut up. That will not keep me quiet. But that doesn't mean you should keep attacking every activist. Why should you only talk when something is being done to you? Why should you only cry when something is done to you directly? Why should you only cry for justice when it is affecting you directly? Why? Because when you are supposed to come together and fight for it, you are being carried away with your emotion. You are trying to be tribalistic. You are trying to be religious. There is difference between constitution and what our Bible said, what our tradition said. If you're unable to differentiate this thing, forget justice in Nigeria. And that is where you will see all those rich people. They will be buying justice everywhere. That is when they will be buying justice everywhere. That is when anyone can just call any police to come and arrest anyone anytime. That is when your freedom as human will be seized away from you. That is when you have no freedom of speech. You getting the point? Because if you're unable to know your right as a human, forget it. There is any country that does not respect human rights cannot move forward. Impossible. Impossible. And wait. And you know what's going to happen? Maybe at that moment, you're not involved. But you know what's going to happen? It's going to go round in circle. And one day, similar thing will be done to you. It will affect you directly. It may not be the same thing. Yours may be worse. Yours may be worse. Because we should be able to say the truth. At least, human rights. Stop taking away people's rights. The suspect may end up being guilty. But let the law take the course. Let the law handle it. Don't be carried away with your emotion like, oh, the way this thing look, the way it appears, definitely this person is guilty. No, you have no right to prosecute anyone. Even police, their right, their job is to investigate, but never to prosecute anyone. Yes. But because you has formed the habit of judging things based on your emotions and religion, we've destroyed the country. We are destroying the country more and more. The response you will have when something is being done to someone else, it will be different for what you will have for yourself when it's being done to you directly. How do we move forward? How do we move forward? You all said, I want to understand, what century are we living in? Are we in 21st century, or we are still living in 13 BC? Because if you tell me we're living in 13 BC, fine, cool. Fine, good. But if we're in 21st century, and Baba Ijesha is being sentenced for 5 years imprisonment, and Princess Comedia is still out there, and those who also who also use this child as a bait, and they are walking freely. Also, the names that this child mentioned, if they are still walking freely, then there is no justice. Then we are still living in 30 BC. Even people who are handling cases in 30 BC, I believe they still have, well, I don't want to be insultive here today. What is wrong is wrong. In which constitution, in which law act, does it state that a civilian can carry out investigation by his or herself? In which constitution does it state that you can use a child as a bait? In which constitution does it state that a policeman can take statement of a suspect who is under duress? If no constitution back that up, then there is no justice. Whatever is done to Baba Ijesha is unjust. It is unjust. Because if the same law that sentenced Baba Ijesha to 5 years imprisonment, if investigation has been done properly, and the investigation stated that Baba Ijesha clearly said that Baba Ijesha is guilty, it simply means both the police that interrogated Baba Ijesha under duress and Princess Comedia, it simply means they should be in prison as well. That is when Abike will know that there is justice. And that is when you and I should know that there is justice in Nigeria. But if none of this thing is done, it simply means justice is long dead. There is no justice in the country. It simply means justice belongs to some group of people. It means justice can be bought with money. It simply means justice belongs to some status. Justice is not for everyone. That is my own understanding. Because if the same judge, if the same law that prosecutes Baba Ijesha to be guilty and sentenced him to 5 years imprisonment is the same law that we are all living under, it means those who also use the child as a bait, who re-traumatize the child, who are unable to provide concrete evidence that shows that the child was raped when she was 7 years old, it simply means we are living under different type of law. It means law for the riches and law for the poor masses. It simply means if you're nowhere connected in the society, it simply means there is no law. There's no justice for you. It simply means when the highs, whatever the highs can see, or whatever the majority can stand on, it simply means that is the truth. And if that is what we are living on right now, it simply means there will be so many unjust acts in the society. Because we can all see how we can easily buy people's minds on social media, especially on Facebook, where you can buy people's sympathy. So if you're able to get people to your own side, it means you will get justice, you'll be free. But if we can follow the Constitution, if we can follow the Act, and if we can respect it, if the same law that they used to judge Baba Ijesha is the same law for everyone, it means Princess Comedia should not be walking freely. She should also be imprisoned with Baba Ijesha. And those names that was mentioned by this child, they should also be in prison. But none of us, the moment that we heard that Baba Ijesha is being judged, like he's been sentenced to 5 years imprisonment, we all kept quiet. Everyone relaxed. But if you are truly fighting for justice, we have to fight for this thing to the end. We need to fight for it to the end. The same princess, look around you now. Look on social media now. You will see justice. I mean, what's it called? You will see princess comedian now trying to be an advocate, fighting for people. So are you telling me now that if we need to do any investigation later on, it means we have to always handle people, beat people, and we have to interrogate them under duress and take their statements under duress? Is that what they're telling us? Because if such person can be working freely and she can still open that her mouth to sit on social media to be talking like an activist, we have a very long way to go. Have justice is not a justice. So we need justice. Complete one. Complete one. We shouldn't just keep quiet. We shouldn't keep quiet. We shouldn't keep quiet. Anyway, guys, bye for now. We'll be back.